Oh, hello, guys, and welcome along to the You Have 2 Minutes first podcast for the Birmingham Brummies. You're joined today with Andy Dugmore, who's the chairman of the Supporters Club, Steve Rolleston, who is our marketing director.
Hello.
Hiya, Steve. And also Dylan, who's my co-host, and he's going to be going through doing these podcasts with us. Hi, Dylan.
Yes.
Okay, so obviously there's been lots of news today on the various social media platforms in relation to the Brummies and what's going to be happening next year, because they've given out some details of the Greyhounds potentially maybe using Wednesdays as one of their fixture nights next season. What do you guys know about that so far? Because obviously it's brand new news. Is it scary? Because I've heard on the lines that we've only currently got planning permission or authority to run on a Wednesday night, so that would really scupper us. What options are people looking at, or what's been said so far?
Okay, well, yeah, it is scary for anyone who's looking at that news. It's a bolt out of the blue, really, for Birmingham, but there's nothing being sort of set in stone about it with the club. So I do know that there is going to be a meeting in June between, the Premier Racing Group and the club itself. So Nigel and whoever else is going to be at that meeting will be able to discuss it. They haven't been told before that announcement what was going to happen. But, there are conversations that are being had, and that meeting is going to happen. So it's really a case for everyone just to wait and see, and then address what comes out of that, because, there are alternatives possibly. It does depend on what happens at that meeting, though. So there's no point pretending it's not going to upset everybody. It does do. You feel it. It's like a kick in the gut, really. But
yeah, and certainly with it coming so close to the news about Wolverhampton and their sort of dealings with the dogs at the minute, people are obviously going to be very worried about it straight away.
That's correct. And, as I say, though, there's still that meeting to be had and to make everything clear to everybody.
Well, the meeting's coming up as well. We've got a bit of a change to the scene. It's not just the Birmingham Brummies on track. We've got, is it an under-19s meeting coming up?
Yeah, so we've got the British Youth Championship coming up on the 31st, and then a couple of weeks after that, there is the under-19. But in between that, we've got the Oxford meeting as well. So there's a couple of national events going on, as well as the normal fixture program for Birmingham Brummies, as well as the MDL meetings that we run down there. So you've got the Ducktail Bulls, and then our own supporter club Buffaloes,
which is,
but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not all doom and gloom, because we've got this new podcast for people to look forward to. Obviously, things in the future we can't predict, but we've got a lot of big stars from the past that we're hoping to get onto the podcast and have a word with. I know Jason Lyons is one of the people who's really keen to come on. He's going to be one of the first people who's part of the You Have 2 Minutes podcast.
That's right. Yeah, that's little bit of a fanboy moment for me there, to be perfectly honest. It was when Steve and myself spoke about this idea, my first thought was Jason Lyons, and from watching him from 2007 to when we moved up to the Elite League, was just something unbelievable. Any time that he went out onto track, you thought, well, we've got a winner. And it'll be really interesting to see what he's been up to from when he retired and he had his farewell meeting at Birmingham, and it'll be really cool just to see what his highlights were about riding for Birmingham. I'm sure winning a couple of the trophies that he did would be in there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I was lucky enough to do the centre green for his meeting when he sort of finished off with us. And he did become a bit of a legend at Birmingham Speedway. He was known as Mr. Bellevue for a long time, but he certainly became Mr. Birmingham Speedway as well. Like you say, just mainly because of his dependability when he was out there, he usually came out with a win.
There was very rarely that you saw him a second, a third, or even a zero. I remember one season at press and practice, I think he went out once and he read his bike and he just heard and that was his press and practice done. And then I'm sure I heard him say that season he had below his own expectations, but then, you know, you still had the thought that he was going to win everything. And to be fair, he pretty much did. His races against Thomas Topinka, Lee Complin, you know, Andre Compton, those guys, they were amazing races, amazing.
And Lee Company, you mentioned there, getting quite a few guest bookings for the Brummies last year. And I know from your point of view, Andy, that was someone who you'd have been keen to see lining up for the Brummies this season.
For sure. He was the only one that rode Perry Bar, that Jason Lyons line, and he still talks about the time where he beat him at Perry Bar. And I was there for that, and I wasn't happy that night. But he just has this. He just gives it his all, doesn't he? He's such a great character. And when he came back, you know, when it was announced he was coming back, I thought, wow, blimey, that's the name I haven't heard for what. And then, boom. I mean, okay, he's you know, he's not sat at number one or whatever, but he's a trier, and that's what we love down at Birmingham. We just want to see a team of triers. Yeah,
a proper entertaining rider. Who else have you got lined up? I know you've mentioned a couple of names to me of other people that you're considering for the podcast.
So we want to look at getting back Cole Go. We're going to be messaging him within the next day or two. I'd love to get James Birkinshaw back, maybe get the two of them. Who knows if we can do that. Uri Kustergaard, you know, rode for us a few times, famously got sacked the once by Jury. So, you know, there's a whole many seasons of different things. And the thing is that we can also go further afield, you know, further back. We've got something coming up with Andy Graham, which we'll announce soon. But, you know, there's nothing stopping seeing if Arthur Browning wants to do something, or, you know, whoever. So just anybody that's wore the Brummies race body colour, whatever you want to call it, you know, see what the memories they've got, see if it sparks a memory from someone, you know, who saw that meeting or remembers that season or something. So yeah, anybody who's worn the body colour for sure.
Yeah, and anybody who you're thinking of watching this podcast there at home that you'd like to hear from, obviously just drop us a message into the comments section underneath the video here, and we'll look to see if we can schedule that for some point during this season.
Just on the Legends Nights, we did have a great Legends Night recently as well. So we've looked at how to do it, where to do it, and, you know, all credit for people like Tom Bacon and Shane Z. And we were able to introduce Joe Thompson at that meeting as well. Tried online, talking to current team members. So it is something that we want to do moving forward. And, you know, we'll see how that works. We'll reach out to everybody that way.
Definitely. Now, sponsorship in relation to the Birmingham Brummies is obviously something that we're keen to acquire. It all makes it where the meetings go more smoothly. It's good to have your name on board if you are interested in sponsoring either heats or, in fact, a whole meeting with the Birmingham Brummies this season. It's tax deductible. So as opposed to giving your money to the tax man, you can pass your money on into advertising, really, and do something to help us with sponsorship. What's available at the minute, Steve? Because obviously, I don't know if you've got all the heat sponsored at the minute, but certainly meeting sponsorship is something that people can look at.
Yeah, definitely. We have been, you know, quite fortunate this year in getting all of the heat sponsored. So that's been a good success. We'll definitely be looking for a few more sponsors for next week, the British Youth Championship, and also we'll be looking at the under 19s as well, aren't we? So, but we're pretty much on the way for next week. But if anybody is keen to sponsor one of those heats, it would be lovely to hear from you. It's £50 to sponsor a heat for an individual meeting, and
that's great stuff.
Yeah, and with that, there's chances for complimentary tickets. Meet the riders, you know, we lay it on for people who do support us. There's always room for sponsors, and as you said, Chris, sponsoring meetings is an area that we are looking at, you know, a lot more now. We've sort of tried to get the heat sponsorship sorted. We've looked at various other aspects where we needed support to help us with the track, for instance. So we had a good successful sponsorship there for a tractor. We're just trying to work through the best that we can do, but all sponsors or advertisers are very, very welcome. And
and whoever people work for, however big or smaller company it is,
exactly,
I'm sure you can put a bespoke package together for them. Like you say, it's introducing new people to the sport, and they may well carry on to continue coming and watching us.
Yeah, we're pleased how it's going on the new sponsorship side of things as well. We're very, very grateful, and it's a good opportunity, actually, this is, to thank all of the sponsors that we've got and advertisers. You know, without them, you know, I think any sport would struggle. So it's really important that we still stay focused and build upon what we've got.
That's great. And Andy, in relation to the actual supporters club itself, how can people get involved with that? What are the subscription rates and stuff? What do you get for it? And what have you got coming up during the season?
So the first thing, so the subscription rate is £5 for the season. And what you can do is you can go and see us at the track shop and fill in the form, and we'll get your membership cards here. The things that we've got coming up is we've got the Scunthorpe stream. So what we're going to do, that's on the 9th of June. Yeah. So what we're going to do is, working with Scorpions TV, we are going to stream the match on a big screen, and at goals at Parry Bar. Just a little invite people to come in to watch the match, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hold a quiz as for like the second half, and that'll be the usual raffle and things. So there'll be a quiz thereafter, and then just hopefully celebrate a Birmingham win on the road, and then
on the roads up actually.
So
Oxford away.
Yes, and we also talking about on the road. We've got the away day travel, which is the first time that this version of the sports club is doing that. And Nadia and Steve are working very hard to allocating all the seats. We've got a couple of seats left for that. So if people are interested and they want to join us to Oxford, you can go and contact Steve, and he'll get you in touch with all of the prices and things for that. And then further afield, we've got our Christmas party booked in. More details will come out once we've sorted that out. But just continuously things doing Rider of the Month award. We're currently inviting fans to vote for the Rider of the Month. Alfie Botel was our first one, and so all the names are in the hat. There's the forum that you can go, so the Brummies forum, you can go onto there and do it online if you prefer, or or what you can do, you won't be able to do it at the minute, but for the next one, you'll be able to fill out a form at the track shop. And because we've got the track shop and we are running the track shop, that's the biggest difference, because we have our own merchandise lines. I know us two are in the official merchandise tonight, but we do have our own T-shirts. We're selling the pens. You always need a pen when you go to Speedway. Program boards. We've also got Cubs Club race bibs. This is the first time since I can remember that somebody's offering that out to our younger members, and we're not just only doing our own merch, but we sell the official merch for the club, as well as rider merchandise as well. And I know that riders are so we've currently got James Pearson stuff, Baby James, as we like to call him. But I know that Dylan's been working with Steph, and then possibly could be something going on there. Alfie, but I was looking at bringing something down there as well. I've spoken to him about that. So it's we are very active. A lot of us actually are on the volunteers who sit on the committee. We are volunteers down there. I for one, as among like half the committee, go down every Sunday, Steve included in this. If we're not in a meeting about something, we're helping out on the track, working with Pete Clark, who works his absolute socks off down there every Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, any time that he can be down there. He's leading the volunteers, and he does a fantastic job. And then, you know, you've got some of us that actually work on the day as well. So whether it be flag marshal, you know, back in the pits,
car park,
VIP car parking,
Yeah.
you know, or even you know, the car parks around the stadium, not actually in the stadium, but around the stadium, marshalling them. So yeah, we're a very active group. We do the 50-50 still. I think it wouldn't be Birmingham Speedway Sports Club if we didn't do that. And Mike and Jill do a terrific job organising that for us. And you know, we've got an absolute superb committee, and it's a really cool place to be. We're all dead passionate about it, about what we're trying to achieve, and so we're all heading in the one direction. And although the news came out, you know, today, it's just business as normal.
Yeah,
just keep going, because, you know, who knows what's around the corner. Who knows? So
got to keep positive for the moment, really. And I think, as Andy says, to sum it up, it's a family.
Yeah,
That's how we feel. We feel as if you know, we're all together in this. We're all pulling the same way, and you know, we all respect each other's opinions, and that's throughout the club. That's volunteers, supporters club, fans, management, right the way through. There's not a them and us. We don't feel it, and that's why we enjoy doing it. We put our time into it.
I think
And I think you mentioned there about the volunteers as well. I think are they looking for some more volunteers? I think I heard something in relation to taking a long time to cover the dog track up and uncover it and stuff after the meetings and stuff, and a few more hands would help. So how do people get in touch if they're keen to sort of assist with that?
it's just so on race nights. First of all, it's just come to the pits, and then someone will just see you and just say, where do you want me? You know, to Pete. Pete, in the program, there's a section on the volunteer, or there's a volunteer that's sort of like the highlight of that week. So and Pete was in there last meeting. I think it was last week. And so yeah.
You can get in touch officially if you want to, through Lawrence or through us, through the commercial team. It doesn't really matter how you get in touch. Tuesdays is another time when the sheets are actually going down. Again, anybody who can spare a bit of time, it makes such a difference, an extra pair of hands. So, you know, it really does help the club. And, you know, it's fun as well. It's a good laugh. So if anybody's interested in doing it, we always get a cup of tea on a Sunday. We get breakfast. It's great fun.
And there's not many speedway tracks that have their own designated calf, and we have that. And it sounds crazy, I know. And the person whose calf it is very passionate about her calf. Yeah, no idea. And you know, we have our own. It's almost like a staff room. And she you're not allowed to go in there.
There's rules.
There's rules. Yeah, Nigel Toddy knows there's rules. I'll tell you, he's not allowed in that cap.
Now, you also mentioned there about the track and stuff and people coming down on Sundays to help out with that. And I know for a few seasons that Birmingham have struggled with the track, but I think it's all back on song again and people are starting to appreciate and riders are starting to say how much it's improved.
That's correct, yeah. I mean, Andy, you've probably heard it firsthand from riders in the pits area. John Priest's amazing. He does a lot of the track work, and we've been fortunate to have better machinery, but it's the care really that's gone into it, and a lot of time was spent on it over the winter and the springtime, and we're still looking to improve it as well. So there's even more work being done on it to, you know, create more opportunities for passing, more entertainment, and a lot of the issues that were apparent over the years have been addressed. All the difficult situations that riders were finding themselves in, they appear to have been addressed, and it's a smooth ride, isn't it? I think comment from a lot of riders.
It's still there's a lot of work that's gone in, like Steve has said. The fact that there was almost like a trench dug around where the air fence was, and you could see the different layers of shale, you know, as they were digging down. And when they got to the level that they were happy with, and you're like, you're talking, quite a depth that that was dug, and then the real big track work started. It's quite incredible actually to see the work, because the air fence is lowered by about 3-4 inches, something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
And from if you stand on bends 1 to 2 and around to where the pits is, you will notice a difference, because from when I walk around and the races are going on, you just look across as you see the races go, the riders go by, and it's like, well, I couldn't see all 4 riders in bend. Well, now you can, and that does make a difference. Yeah.
Just like to say a big thank you to John Smith from Tractor Hire UK for the John Deere tractor that we've been using. He's been an absolute star, and he's going to support the club throughout the winter months again this year. So I'm very pleased to have him on board.
That's good news. And then with the team, I know there's already been some team changes, and I believe some more team changes coming very, very soon as well. In fact, when people watch this podcast, it probably will have happened.
Yeah, it probably would have done. Yeah. So, right.
Is that good news? Do you think it's going to go down well with the fans?
So,
and is it what they're asking for?
Yeah, I think so, because obviously with the situation with Steph's injury, there needs to be a replacement to cover that period. And, we're fortunate to have available, to us, Dan Thompson. A lot of clubs were trying to sign Dan. So, they've got a history, the Thompson, twins, aren't they? So it's really good that they've got that history with Birmingham anyway. And we've managed to sign Dan. So, well done to the team for being able to do that. And it hopefully give us fresh impetus. And we'll see what happens, moving forwards. So,
well, Nigel's made sort of no qualms about the fact he wants to be in the playoffs at the end of the season.
He's committed to it. He's committed himself to it. So he knows that, we've got to keep looking and learning from what's going on.
And we should add on that is that, wish Steph
absolutely,
the speediest of recovery, because, Steph is one of ours. He's an asset of Birmingham.
Yeah.
I know I was quite pleased that he made that contract signing, and the club pledged that sort of thing to him for him to give him some stability, he's only on 28 days, so Steph, get better.
Yeah,
get better
absolutely.
soon.
And it's a period that does need covering until Steph's raring to go again. The main thing is for Steph to get himself better, get himself fit and ready, and relishing the chance. So we'll wait and see there.
And just a touch of an update on Steph. He's actually got a fracture clinic tomorrow to get his foot seen to by then, but he's already working on it. So he's hoping it shouldn't be.
Yeah, fantastic.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it, man.
One of the things I want to ask you about, guys, is obviously it's been a while since I've been involved myself with the Birmingham Brummies, and I've been to a couple of meetings last season and this season. And Speedway generally does he sort of encourage an older audience, and sadly we've lost some well-known fans at the Brummies over the last 4 or 5 years through natural causes and all kinds of things happening. And on the terraces, it is a lot quieter. So we need to look at how we can sort of encourage new blood into the sport and bring in new fans in and stuff. A lot of fans sort of suggest things, and it's been tried in the past, sort of going out to schools, taking riders, that kind of thing. I know there's something been done quite recently where we've been doing some adverts on the buses and stuff. But is there any other plans to try and sort of swell those terraces during this season?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there are a few things actually. Just as you mentioned about the schools and getting out to see schools and clubs and going to fairs and all those kind of things, that is going to happen. as I mentioned previously about Tom Bacon, who came to the Legend, well, it was his Legends evening. He's offered his Kevlars and gear if we want to take them out anywhere. But we are talking with riders as well to come to schools, to get the word out, to really, market what we do, let everyone know what we do.
I think it all adds to the atmosphere on the night. If you can encourage like 30 school kids there,
amazing.
Creating a racket, and even if one or two of those school kids comes the following week with their mums and dads, it's a family or a couple of families that weren't there the week before, isn't it?
It is, and we have got schools that have been in touch. I think Andy, Leo's schools for one.
Yeah.
So it's a case really now of getting active. We're coming up to the summer break, but it's a case of getting out now. We don't want to hold it off too long and want to do that. As you mentioned with the back of the bus, that's something that was an innovation. We've actually run competitions for people sending in photos safely, I might add, where there has been a winner. So that's been advertised. Posters have been put up in various places. We've had one tranche of leaflets so far, but I think this is great because it's given me the opportunity to, a little bit of an exclusive. In the month of June, at our meeting on the 7th and on the 21st, so that's the Oxford home meeting for us, and the meeting on the 21st against Berwick, we are issuing leaflets which do say if you bring that leaflet with you, you can gain entry to the meeting for £10. So the sort of the catchphrase is try it for a tenner.
Yeah.
And the purpose really is with that is to give people the opportunity to come and try it if they haven't been before, different audience, but also to encourage people who used to come who find it difficult with the expense of coming to come and have a go, come have a look and see what they're missing. And hopefully it will lead to, them staying for the rest of the season.
Yeah, because some fans maybe haven't been since the top league days. So, Some fans might be, it's a lower division, so I'm not going to give it a whirl.
That's right. And I think the only way you know is by actually coming, what it's like. It's Speedway. And it's, whatever league, it can be as exciting as any league.
Well, I mean, sometimes when you look at the lineups alone, you could look at a lineup for our sort of league and think, well, this looks like a team that could take on somebody in the top league anyway. And then a lot of the riders are riding in both.
Exactly right. Yeah. So, like I say, it's for people to come to Birmingham to give it a go, see what it's like, and also to rekindle their enthusiasm for coming and see how things pan out for that.
Definitely, I think that's a cracking idea. But obviously you will, I would imagine, get some old fuddy-duddies like my old man who say, well, I've bought a season ticket.
Yeah.
And this is devaluing my season ticket. I would remember us spending a tenner for this meeting. So any plans to sort of appease those kind of fans and perhaps, make a bit of a sweetener for them as well? It's going to be a sweetener in the end because if more people start coming, it guarantees the longevity of Birmingham Speedway in the future anyway, and it's going to make for a better atmosphere week in, week out.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. It is for that purpose, to try and, safeguard the future of the club with attendance figures that are good. There are discussions in the background about sweetness. But I think one of the main sweeteners for people who have paid up front is to see more people come and increase the atmosphere in the stands. But yeah, there are discussions going on in the background to, our loyal fans, to give them some kind of incentives or support within the club. And it will always be like that at Birmingham. It's the fans, really. That's what it's for. And we'll see what comes of that. But for the time being, this is for 2 meetings in June. So that's what it's targeted as. And it's a chance to try and get new blood in there and to win people back, really.
Superb news, that is. Andy, just to finish off with then, people are going to be looking out to see when the next podcast is coming out, the next You Have 2 Minutes podcast. Where were they going to find those details, and where can they post their suggestions to sort of give you ideas of people they'd like to see on it in the future?
Yeah, so the suggestions are all going to be read in the comments below.
Excellent.
So if you post your name and who you would like to be on our podcast, then tag the person, tag at Birmingham Speedway Supporters Club, and we'll see. And when the next one will come out, what we'll do is we'll plaster it all over our social media channels, so you'll be able to see with the preview of who is the next podcast going to be about, and then when the release date's going to be, and then sit back, get a cup of tea, get a biscuit or so, and enjoy the interview.
Great stuff. So on behalf of myself, Chris Simpson, from Dylan, from Steve, and from Andrew, we hope you've enjoyed this first podcast, and we look forward to catching you the trackside in the meantime, but we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.